Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia here, and welcome back to the Overwatch World Cup Roundup 2019 Team France preview. Team France are our team who qualified in 4th in the rankings, gaining one of those few automatic qualification spots for this year's World Cup. France have a long history with the World Cup, attending every one so far. They lost to Russia in the quarterfinals in 2016. They came 4th a year later in 2017, losing out to South Korea, Canada and Sweden. Last year though, they failed to get a win at Anaheim, losing out to Canada in the quarterfinals, who would go on to finish 3rd. Let's take a look at the organisation for France this year, as it is much bigger than it has been previously. The only returning face is Troma, who is community lead once again for France. Degun is their general manager and is assisted by Squall as the assistant manager. France will be taking 4 coaches to the World Cup this year. Rath will be their head coach, and he will be assisted by Pipo, Kolsty and Larenagar. Sorry if I'm butchering any of these names. Another team who has vastly expanded their coaching staff since the last World Cup. I wonder whether some of these countries are copying the coaching structure of some of the more successful Overwatch League teams, who generally have around 3 or 4 coaches. On to the players for Team France then, and this year sees a big shake-up for France, with a lot of the players we saw last year not returning for 2019. We will start off with the supports once again, and out go Unco and Wins from last year, and in come FD God and Hip. Hip currently plies his trade at the Paris Eternal, who had an uninspiring first season in the Overwatch League, but Hip looked like a very stable support player for them and offers the France backline that much needed top level experience. FD God is a little bit less well known, currently playing for Young and Beautiful, who currently find themselves in European Contenders trials after struggling this year in European Contenders. This support line is okay, but when you compare it with the other top countries this year, you do start to ask questions as to whether they can keep up with them. Moving on to the tanks for Team France then, and this is where we see our first returning player for Team France this year. It is, of course, Poco, the very well-known off-tank player currently contracted to the Philadelphia Fusion. The thing is, the current meta really doesn't play to Poco's strengths, which is the Diva, and this World Cup could be a test of his flexibility. Playing the main tank role for France this year, we have Chubbs. Chubbs currently plays for Samsung Morning Stars in European Contenders, and is an interesting move from Team France, who could have called up the Paris Eternal main tank Ben Best once again, but elected not to. Chubbs has played for a lot of teams in and around the European Contenders scene, including 1Point, HSL Esports, and the Copenhagen Flames. He has never had that high of a finish with any of these teams he has played for though, and so it remains to be seen if he has the quality France will need to perform well at this World Cup. Lastly, we have the DPS for France, and once again we see another major shake-up compared to the roster we saw last year. Out go Dallas Fuel's AKM and Paris Eternal's Nico, and in come Team Gigante's Leaf and Revival's Hardest. Leaf has been around the top echelons of European Contenders for a long time, managing to win the competition with Eagle Gaming in 2018. And coming second with Team Gigante in Season 2 this year. Hardest is currently playing for Revival in America, but has also been around the block featuring for the Eternal Academy, Samsung Morning Stars, 1Point, Copenhagen Flames, and Eagle Gaming in European Contenders amongst others. Both of these players have extensive Tier 2 experience, but none of them can match the experience that Soon has, who is the only other returning player for Team France this year. Soon obviously currently plays for the Paris Eternal, but also spent the whole of the inaugural Overwatch League season at the LA Valiant, who were very successful, coming second in the standings that year. Paris were unable to replicate this success, but Soon's ability is undoubted. So that is Team France for this year. A new look squad for them, but it's not a leap to fielding younger players, as a lot of these players are very experienced and upwards of 25 years old. It seems like France really wants some experience to try and guide them to that elusive World Cup medal this year, and it might just work out for them. I just hope, for them, that they are not sacrificing too much Overwatch League quality for that 2-tier experience. It's a gamble that could pay off, but when I look at this roster, I struggle to put it above some of the rosters we are seeing in the preliminaries, such as Team UK, Team Finland, and Team Sweden. It is very hard to predict where this France team might finish up at Blizzcon. They could shock a few of the higher teams, but also could fail to pass the first hurdle. Only time will tell. That will be it for Team France though. Next time we move on to our 3rd seed this year, who will be Team China, our runners-up from last year. This team is now completely signed to the Overwatch League, so will that make a difference for them during this World Cup? We shall see. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.